Welcome to this model. In this model, I'm going to share with you the design aspects of microwave oscillators. RF and microwave oscillators are found in all modern wireless communications, radar, and remote sensing systems to provide signal sources for frequency conversion and carrier generation. A solid-state oscillator uses an active nonlinear device such as diode or transistor in conjunction with a passive circuit to convert DC into sinusoidal steady-state RF signal. Basic transistor oscillator circuits can generally be used at low frequencies, often with crystal oscillators to provide improved frequency stability and low noise performance. So at higher frequencies, diodes and transistors biased to negative resistance operating point can be used with cavity transmission line and dielectric resonators to produce fundamental frequency oscillations up to 100 GHz. Alternatively, frequency multipliers in conjunction with a low frequency source can be used to provide power at millimeter wave frequencies. So because of the requirement of a nonlinear active device, the rigorous analysis and design of oscillator circuits can be difficult and is usually carried out today with sophisticated CAD tools. So now let us discuss about the overview of the low frequency transistor oscillator circuits, including the well-known Hartley and Colpitts configuration as well as crystal controlled oscillators. Okay, and microwave oscillators, you can see the figure of typical microwave oscillator, and its canonical RF circuit for a one port negative resistance oscillator is shown in this figure, where Zn is equal to Rn plus Jxn as the input impedance of the active device, for example biased diode or transistor. In general, this impedance is current dependent as well as frequency dependent, which we indicate by writing Zn of I comma j omega is equal to Rn of I comma j omega plus Jxn of I comma j omega. This device is terminated with a passive load impedance, that is ZL is equal to RL plus JXL. So applying Kirchhoff's law in this circuit. So in this circuit, when we apply the Kirchhoff's law, voltage law, that gives us I into ZL plus Zn is equal to 0. So if oscillation is occurring such that the RF current is non-zero, then the following two conditions must be satisfied. That is RL plus Rn is equal to 0 and XL plus Xn is equal to 0. Right. Transistors oscillators generally have lower frequency and power capabilities than diode sources, but offer several advantages over diodes. First, oscillators using transistors are readily compatible with the monolithic integrated circuitry, allowing easy integration with the transistor amplifiers and mixers, while diode devices are often less compatible. In addition, a transistor oscillator circuit is much more flexible than a diode source, and this is because the negative resistance oscillation mechanism of a diode is determined and limited by the physical characteristics of the device itself. So, transistor amplifier is most suited for these applications. While the operating characteristics of transistor can be adjusted to a greater degree by the bias point as well as the source and load impedance presented to the device. Transistor oscillators usually allow more control of the frequency of oscillation, temperature stability and output noise than do diode sources. So, transistor oscillator circuits also lend themselves well to frequency tuning, phase or injection locking and various modulation requirements. Transistor sources are relatively efficient but usually are not capable of very high power outputs. Tunable sources are necessary in many types of electronic welfare systems, frequency hopping and radar and communication systems and test systems. Transistor oscillators can be made tunable by using an adjustable element in the resonant load such as varactor diode or a magnetically biased YIG sphere. Thus, a voltage controlled oscillator can be made by using a reverse biased varactor diode in the tank circuit of a transistor oscillator, and in a YIG tuned oscillator, that is a YTO, a single crystal YIG sphere is used to control the inductance of a coil in the tank circuit of the oscillator. Since YIG is a ferromagnetic material, its effective permeability can be controlled with the external DC magnetic bias field and thus controlling the oscillator frequency. YIG oscillators can be made to tune over a decade or more of bandwidth, while varactor tuned oscillators are limited to a tuning range of about an octave. So, YIG tuned oscillators, however, cannot be tuned as fast as varactor oscillators. And RF oscillators, We can now let us consider the general analysis. That is, there are a large number of possible RF oscillator circuits using bipolar and field effect transistors in either common emitter or source, common base or gate, or common collector or drain. So various types of feedback networks lead to the well-known Hartley, Colpitts, Clap and Pierce oscillator circuits. All of these variations can be represented by a general oscillator model. And the equivalent circuit is used to model either the bipolar or field effect transistor. And we can simplify the analysis by assuming real input and output impedance of the transistor, defined by Gi and Go respectively. While taking this system circuit, since the load is passive and RL is greater than 0, it implies that Rn is less than 0. Thus, while a positive resistance implies energy dissipation, a negative resistance implies an energy source. So, this condition controls the frequency of oscillation. The condition that ZL is equal to minus Zn for steady state oscillations implies that the reflection coefficients tau L and tau in are related as tau L is equal to ZL minus Z0 divided by ZL plus Z0, right? That can be written as minus Zn minus Z0 divided by minus Zn plus Z0. This is equal to 1 by tau L. The process of oscillation is critically dependent on nonlinear behavior of Zn. And initially, if it is necessary that for overall circuit to be unstable at certain frequency, that is Rn of I comma j omega should be less than plus RL should be less than 0. Then any transient excitation, any transient excitation or noise will cause an oscillation to build up at the frequency omega. So as I increases, R omega must become less negative and the current I naught is reached such that Rn of I naught comma j omega naught plus RL is equal to 0 and Xn of I naught comma j omega naught plus XL of j omega naught is equal to 0. So at this point, the oscillator can run in a stable state and the final frequency omega naught generally differs from the starter frequency because Xn is current dependent. So that Xn of I comma j omega is not equal to Xn of I naught comma j omega naught. Now let us consider a case that a negative resistance oscillator design. In this case, suppose if one port oscillator uses a negative resistance diode having tau is equal to 1.25 angle 40 at its desired operating point and f is equal to 6 gigahertz, and if we design a load matching network for a 50 ohm load impedance, then Zn is given by Z0 into 1 plus tau in by 1 minus tau in. When we substitute the values, we will get the value as minus 44 plus j 123 and ZL is equal to minus Zn. Therefore, ZL will be equal to 44 minus j 123 ohms. Right. And now let us consider the transistor oscillators. In a transistor oscillator, the negative resistance one-port network is effectively created by terminating a potentially unstable transistor with an impedance designed to drive the device in an unstable region. The circuit model is shown in this diagram. So in this circuit, the RF output port is a part of the load network on the output side of the transistor, but it's also possible to use the terminating network to the left of the transistor as the output port. So in case of an amplifier, we prefer a device with a high degree of stability and ideally an unconditionally stable device. For an oscillator, we require a device with a high degree of instability, and typically common source or common gate FET configurations are used, often with positive feedback to enhance the instability of the device. So after the transistor configuration is selected, the output stability circle can be drawn in the towel plate and the towel is selected to produce a large value of negative resistance at the output of the transistor. So then the terminating impedance Zs is equal to Rs plus Jxs can be chosen to match Zin because such a design often relies on the small signal scattering parameters, and because Rn will become less negative as the oscillator power builds up, and it is often necessary to choose Rs so that Rs plus Rn is less than 0. Otherwise, oscillations may cease, and if increasing RF power increases and Rn to the point where Rs plus Rn is greater than 0. So in practice, the value of Rs is equal to Rn by 3 will be preferred. And the reactive part of Zs is chosen to resonate the circuit. Now let us see the dielectric resonators oscillators. Oscillator stability is enhanced through the use of the high tuning network. And the main advantages of dielectric resonator oscillators are it can have an unloaded Q as high as several thousand values, and it is compact and easily integrated with the planar circuitry, and it can be made from ceramic materials that have excellent temperature stability. So when oscillations occur between the termination network and transistor, oscillations will simultaneously occur at the output port. And for steady state oscillations at the input port, we must have tau s into tau in should be equal to 1, analogous to the condition that is when we see in the previous chapter. And the transistor oscillators can be designed with tau s into tau n is equal to 1 and tau out is equal to S22 plus S12 into S21 tau s divided by 1 minus S11 into tau s, which shows that tau L into tau out is equal to 1 and hence ZL is equal to Z out. Thus the condition for oscillation at the load network is satisfied, and it is preferable to use the large signal scattering parameters of the transistor in the above development. So a dielectric resonator is usually coupled to an oscillator circuit by positioning the dielectric in close to proximity to a strip line as shown in this figure. The resonator is modeled as a parallel RLC circuit, and the coupling to the feed line is modeled by turns ratio N of the transformer. So using this result, the impedance of the parallel RLC resonator, we can express the equivalent series impedance Z seen by the microstrip line as Z is equal to N squared R divided by 1 plus J into 2 Q naught into delta omega by omega naught. And there are many oscillator configurations using common source, common gate and common drain for FET or emitter base collector for BJT, in addition to the optional use of series and shunt elements to increase the instability of the device. A dielectric resonator can be incorporated into the circuit to provide frequency stability using either the parallel feedback arrangement or the series feedback technique, which is shown in this figures. So in the first figure, there is a parallel arrangement dielectric resonator, and the second figure shows the series feedback. The parallel configuration uses a resonator coupled to microstrip lines functioning as a high Q bandpass filter that couples a portion of the transistor output back to its input. The amount of coupling is controlled by the spacing between the resonator and the lines, and the phase is controlled by the length of the lines. So the series feedback configuration is simpler, using only a single microstrip feed line, but typically doesn't have a tuning range as wide as that obtained for the parallel feedback. So design of oscillator using parallel feedback is most conveniently done using microwave CAD software, but a dielectric resonator oscillator using series feedback can be designed using the same procedure as two-port oscillator. So the resonator couples the fringing magnetic field of the strip line, and the strength of the coupling is determined by the spacing and D between the resonator and the microstrip line. So because coupling is via the magnetic field, the resonator appears as a series load on the microstrip line. Okay, thank you.